I'm just smiling, waiting to see if it's working. It looks like we're a go. So we are live on Facebook, live on Zoom, and welcome. Let's see, there's one more thing I have to do real quickly here to get things going. And and we are on day 5. So if you've been following along this week, this is day 5, the final day of a 5-day challenge that I've been giving here, both on Facebook and live on Zoom. And the purpose of is it really to really create some momentum toward what you want to achieve in your life during these summer months. Summer can be a great time to up level and take things that maybe have been sitting on the shelf and dust them off and say, I'm going to work on this thing now. So tonight, what I want to focus on, we'll go through the 3 steps of the method again, but I'm really going to focus on health and body to close out this session because, a lot of us want to be sort of fit for the summer, or we want to increase our fitness during the summer, maybe eat a little healthier. There's all kinds of things in there, and I'm going to take kind of a different take on it. So let me admit another person in here, um, and we'll get started. So targets, triggers, tools. I always come back to the frame of the 3 steps of the method for you. So let's start with targets, and I'm going to build on what we've been doing the past few nights. So the first step is to list some of the things that you'd like to achieve, things you'd like to achieve or change, what's important to you, or what do you know needs to, if it, what happens if it doesn't change or doesn't improve? Where are you a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? I like to take a look at that perspective to say, if I don't get a handle on this or change this up, I'm not going to be where I want to be a year from now. I could be in some serious trouble, actually. So, what is it that needs to shift or change for you, or what do you want to achieve? That's how you can kind of come up with some of your targets. So write down those targets, and the next step is to write a couple of actions every day that you commit to within a 24-hour period that you really commit to doing that create momentum for any of those targets that you have. So I've mentioned how you might be wanting to take a trip somewhere. So you could research where you're going to stay or how you're going to get there. The next step that I shared about targets is to write your target and then also write it as an empowering affirmation and an empowering question. So as an empowering affirmation, you can start with this stem. You can say, I'm so, let's see, what is it? I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that I am whatever your thing is. Or I'm so elated and grateful for the fact that. So you're stating it as if it's in the present, it's already happened, and you're so grateful for what's transpired in your life. The next step of that is to write it as a question. The question can be, how can I, whatever it is your target is. So how can I improve my body this summer easily? I like adding adjectives in there. Our brain loves descriptive words and it loves questions. You combine the two and it's pretty powerful. So now I'm going to give you another step, and I learned this step years ago from the coach John Assaraf. If you follow The Secret or any of that, he's in The Secret. John talks about how when he was young, a mentor had him write his goals and then take his finger and actually run his finger over them as he said them. So that's the next action step I have for you with goals tonight. And I'm going to grab my sheet here. If you'd like a sheet, just let me know. If you're on the Zoom, you're going to get one of these. But I just created a really simple little sheet and I put it in like a plastic sleeve so I can run my finger over it really easily. So that's how I've approached this. Some people laminate their targets, but my targets shift and change, and I accomplish them a lot faster than I used to, thanks to Pressure Free. So that's a little piece of it too. So this last action step is actually running your finger over as you say your goals. You could say, I'm so happy and grateful for the fact that whatever the thing is, and you're running your finger over it, which just is creating getting another sense involved in the creation of what you're trying to achieve and what you're trying to bring into the world. So that's my little bit about targets tonight. Now let's go to step two, triggers. So one thing that I didn't know, for sure, I didn't know a couple of things about stress hormones. I didn't know a lot of things until I got started here. In fact, I never thought I would even talk about hormones, but I talk about them all the time with my clients. And um, when you really dig in and take a look at what happens to the human body and the human brain when we trigger these fight or flight stress hormones, pretty much every mental and physical condition or disease is either directly caused by the release of these hormones or made worse by them, exacerbated by them. And so you could name any disease. And when I have a client who has some sort of a disease, like I was working with a woman who had dystonia, I would immediately just dig into research, not just here in the US, but research in other countries too, to see, okay, what are the links to the stress response and the symptoms of this particular disease? Same thing with mental health symptoms. On my last e-zine, I think it was last or the month before, I made a chart and I talk about ADHD and the symptoms of ADHD and how they exactly mirror some of the symptoms of what happens to the brain when we trigger fight or flight. So that release of hormones is really the culprit. You hear it linked to heart, of course, all the time. It's like stress is called the silent killer because it can just continually build fat in the arteries and it can cause so much damage and so many problems. But it's not just the heart, it's pretty much every part of us. And so whatever you're experiencing, like that's your stress response experience. So many people are different. Some people never get ulcers. Some people have ulcers all the time, or have ulcerative colitis, or have other bowel issues or digestive issues. So we're all so different. And my thought for you tonight, and I'm continually trying to come up with new ways to think about how do we figure out what our triggers are. So this is what I've come up with for you today. Um, Notice how you hold your body. Notice any tensions. Notice any pains. So today I was in the forest out on my walk and I turned my ankle. But in the process, when it started to go, I immediately relaxed from my belly all the way down to my foot, and my ankle is not injured at all. I used to have the opposite response to twisting my ankle. I would tighten, and that would wrench ligaments and tendons and muscles. But instead, by completely relaxing, I was able to move with it and have no ill effects. So, where do you experience tension, pain, and how do you hold your body? I was talking to a baseball coach today, and we were talking about how so often, like two strikes on you, and you can see the shoulders rise and the body curl. Like we go into posture. So the face, they call it RBF, when it's like, right? You know what I'm talking about. So, so it's like, what is your face saying? What is your body saying? The body, there's a book called The Body Knows the Score. To me, the body leaves clues. And here's what's miraculous. About every 7 years, every one of your cells is new. You're a completely new person. Every 7 years, you've turned over every cell. That's amazing. So you're not the same person you were 7 years ago, physically. You're completely new. So the question I have for you is, what are you feeding this apparatus, not just in terms of food, but also in terms of thoughts? How are you acting? How are you behaving? What's your way of being? What do you want it to be? That's the target. You can change so much about yourself. And for people who are in disease or having difficulties, I will say, okay, this is the first day of your pressure-free life. This is the first day you get to imagine what you want, really imagine it, and instantly be taking steps toward it by not triggering the stress response. So start to take a notice about what's going on with your whole being, but especially like where you hold tension, if it's shoulders, if it's jaw and face, um, Yeah, can play with all that. If you're constantly worried, you may have that 11 line like right in here. Um, this reveals a lot. And so now I really want to spend most of tonight, and the time is telling me I've got good time to teach this to you. I really want to dive into tools for you tonight. I want to share set of body tools that I've built from some of my work with the body coach Leela Veronica. She's also a business coach. She's like my best friend. I met her 8 years ago, and our experience together has truly been life-changing. I've helped her. She's gone through my pressure-free courses. She's gone through certification, and I've gone through her programs. I'm in her program, her group program. I've been there, 3 years, I think. Like I don't stop being in her program. And every time we're together, she works my body deeper. So she is a specialist on the fascia, and she's a specialist in really how to hold your body um, in a way that allows the body to be free and do what it wants to do and prevent injury, prevent pain. So I want to take you through what I call the H's. Okay. Some of my friends out there know that I call it sitting on a diamond. So you get to sit on a diamond tonight. Um, and then I also want to teach you a couple other little things that I teach my clients to help them, especially if you sit a lot for your job um, or drive a lot for your job. Like you're in a you're not moving very much. I have a couple of cool things to help you, especially with the tension back in here. So let's dive into these tools. So I'm going to start with the H's first. And the H's are, well, we'll just start with the first one. So the first one is your heart. So we start with the heart, and by starting with the heart, what we're going to do is open up from the shoulders down through the ribs. I just want you to go really wide. So just like open up really wide, as if you're going to stand on the stage and belt out the Star Spangled Banner. I just heard it at the start of the hockey game a little while ago. So it's like, okay, shoulders down through the ribs, nice and wide. So don't pinch your shoulders back. What Leela taught me about that is that actually closes off the back part of your heart. We want everything to be full. So shoulders to ribs, really wide. Now that can feel a little vulnerable because we just opened up our hearts. But when you open up like this and you open up this space, you create the opportunity for deeper connection. You don't even have to say anything. But when you open up like this, people feel something differently. And not just people. When I walk in the forest every day, I keep the front of my body very wide and open and very soft. And I get so close to animals. And oftentimes like a bird will come close and I'll think it could just fly away quickly. And so many times it doesn't. Like it just doesn't, because I'm not sending out a forceful energy that would cause a repelling energy, but I've got this open energy of bringing things to me. I've taught this to salespeople, to C-level execs who start leading their teams in a whole new way because they're soft in the front of their body. So we're going to go wide here, open up, and don't be scared. We can do it. We don't want any fear because that'll trigger the stress response, right? Okay, the next step is kind of funny, but go with me. So probably right now you're sitting on your butt, on your glute muscles. And what I want you to do is sit up a little bit and grab your glutes, pull them back. So you're sitting on your hamstrings, your bones, your leg bones. So this H is hamstrings. So if you're sitting in this position, if you had a tail, it would now freely wag. But if you slide back and sit on your butt, you will notice that if you had a tail, it would probably be tucked right now. So by getting your glutes back and allowing your tail to wag, a few things happen. First of all, we tighten and close and tuck our tail because we are protecting. And that is sending a message to the brain, be alert for an attack. So when you get your glutes back and now your tail can wag, your brain is not getting that message. Your brain is getting a message of, oh, I'm extremely confident right now because I'm not trying to protect anything. I'm open. I'm open in the front. I'm wide and open in the back. Like it's a whole different way of holding your body. By the way, it took me a year and a half of working with Leela and working on this posture before I could like get in my car and be sitting this way without having to make any adjustments, like grab my butt muscles or anything. So it can take a little while and back off if you feel any pain whatsoever in your back or whatever. It takes a little while to get used to a change in how you hold yourself, especially if you sit for long hours. So the next step, let's see. I got messes down here. As clean as I want to be. All right, I'm gonna just show you my legs. I got really short shorts on. It's hot here. Grab your thigh, twist the muscles in, and set it out. Okay, so we're rotating these quads. All right. When you rotate your quads, you're now again getting that part of your body very open and very grounded and solid. So your glutes are back, your tail is wagging, you're very solid, and this is open. So now if you were strutting down the road, you'd be like a happy puppy. But I want to take you a little deeper. The next are your heels. So if you take a look at your foot, I'm going to use my hand. I'm not going to pick up my foot. So this front half of your foot is your paw, just like a dog. Where is the dog's heel? It's like way up their leg. So your paw, the front half of your foot, if you can relax your toes and relax the top of your foot, get it really soft and down into the ground, and then lift your heels like you could slide a couple quarters under them. This is what Leela taught me. Like get that front part really down. You're going to feel stronger and you can even almost grip, like right now I'm on carpet. Some of this I'm going to grip it a little bit and like pull myself forward. So you've got your powerful glutes supporting your back and propelling you forward, even though you're sitting. And you've got your paws really strong on the ground and you're very grounded. So now when you're across from someone in a meeting and you're like this, people feel so much strength. They feel like they can trust you because you've got gravitas and you're not coiled this way and tucked this way and crossed legs. By the way, you can put your legs closer together once you get those thighs turned out. And you've got an activation in you because of this heel thing. So if you look at pictures of antiquity, like old urns and ceramics and things, and you see people running or walking, you'll notice they walk with the front part of their foot first, and then they're setting their heel down. The front part is going first. That's how pretty much all humans walked until we started putting hard things as soles, like wood and cork, and then just all those hard things that go on the bottom of shoes today. Um, and that totally changed how we humans start to walk because we're pretty lazy. We started going heel toe. I call those toe slappers. The heel goes first and then the toes. What happens is if you're on a slippery surface like ice, when you set your heel down, you're off balance and you slide. You can fall. But if you go with the front half of your foot first, you have a less likely chance of slipping or falling because you're planting your foot. My grandfather actually taught me how to walk that way in the forest. So when I was growing up, he was a lumberjack for several years and he knew all these interesting places to go in New Hampshire and Maine. And he would take us little girls and he would have us walk like that for a couple of reasons. First of all, if you plant your foot, you can tell if you're going to slip or not. This way you can't. But when you plant your foot, front half of your foot, you can feel if it's slippery or prickly if we're barefoot. And so that's powerful. And also he would say, we're also going quietly in the forest, right? We're not disturbing it. So I thought that was so cool. And then Leela, all these years later, telling me what she's taught me about shoes and about feet. Last stage, your head. So head to the horizon. 150 years ago, we were all outdoor people. We would spend pretty much the whole day outdoors working. And then we built factories and we started industrializing. We put everything inside. And we've become indoor people. I mean, I have some clients that are like executive clients who go from their house into their attached garage, get in their car, go to the parking structure, go into the office, and they never see the light of day, especially in the winter. They never see the light of day. And so it's important to get fresh air and get outside, but also to have your eyes sweep the horizon. So I encourage people to take a break, and if you're in a cubicle and you can't see the horizon, like get out on the veranda or go outside for a moment and just get a sweeping view. It's so good for your eyes and it's good for perspective. Um, because we used to be outdoor people, we had much like broader feeling about things. We've become very closed, and the pandemic didn't help that at all either. Um, but it's really cool to start to get out and start to just see the horizon. And I encourage my clients, like if you're typing away or working away, to just look out once in a while and just get your eyes looking at something big. So that's also to get your head up so you're not in a down position with all that weight affecting your spine. So forward head syndrome, if you've heard of that before. So many people have it because of the phones now. And it's painful. Like you can really have a lot of problems with your back because of your phones and laptops, et cetera. I've got mine on a box. I always have my laptops up. Um, so those are your H's, but I want to add one more body tool to that whole frame we just did, and that's to really relax your abs, especially your lower abs. So if you relax your belly and then take your hands and put them down over to the way lower abs and really relax those, you're giving your brain a signal that you are totally pressure free, that there is no reason whatsoever to trigger the stress response, that you are safe. So I call that those lower abs and like all around and 360 around that area, that's your safety, your power, your love, and your money. And by power, I don't mean force, I mean empowerment. So play with getting the front of your body soft and then that back of your body lit up with the pause, with the glutes back. And yeah, let's see. Was there something else I wanted to add there? I think that's good. So that gives you a little idea. Oh yeah, so what is the sitting on the diamond thing? That's it. Um, so when you open up your quads, when you move your quads like that, and you get really sturdy, you've actually created a diamond of bones, your two sits bones, and then your pubic bone and your tailbone, and they make a diamond shape. So when you're sitting like this, it's like you're sitting on a diamond. And since this is your power, your safety, your love, and your money, you're just like lit up from the inside. So with a beautiful diamond as your base. So you can play with that. It's rather fun. Like I said, it's taken me a while to just naturally sit in these positions. So at first I would practice when I'm at the computer, when I'm at the dining room table, when I'm in my car. Those were the three primary places that I would practice this. But even if I go to a concert or a church or anything like that, I don't sit the way the seat wants me to. I actually work on this posture to retain the frame. Even when I'm doing things like household chores and picking something up off the floor, I keep the frame in almost everything I do. As Leela says, you live your yoga. Like I live Riverstone, which is her movement that she teaches. If you want to get in touch with her, let me know because I've sent a lot of people to her. She's just absolutely marvelous. Um, Let me give you a couple more tools, body tools. Before I do these two, though, I want to talk about food just briefly. There's so many diets out there and ways to nourish yourself, and it's all extremely different based on your genealogy and what works with your body, your age, your gender, like so many factors. But what I like to talk about with my clients is not what we're eating so much as how we're eating. Most of us eat too fast. So I had this little food for fuel formula. This is how it goes. You take a breath, breathe in and out. You take a bite. You keep the food in your mouth until it's liquefied. So you don't need to be chewing 100 times like some people say. You need to let the saliva work and dissolve the food. Okay? And the reason you're taking a breath in is because when you smell the aroma of food, it gets your saliva ducts going. And I don't know if you remember, but when we trigger fight or flight, we shut off our saliva glands. We need to get these activated for the food to be digested here first. And then when it goes through the rest of our digestive system, it's so much easier to process. And so we don't get a lot of those digestive issues. So take a breath, smell your food, take a bite and really let it work in there for a while. Maybe you have to take a few breaths while you're doing that. And the other part of this is to drink your water like a half hour before or half hour later, but you don't want to waterlog the enzymes in your mouth. I learned that from a book called Fit for Life many years ago, back in the 90s, that if we drink water with our food, we dilute the enzymes that our digestive system needs to be breaking down the food. So if you can split up your hydration from when you're actually eating, also as there was a nutritionist working at a cancer retreat with me, and she shared how it's as if we poured water over a campfire. Like the fuel can't burn as efficiently if we waterlog it. So there's people drinking water a lot today. And so that's one thing I encourage them to do is to keep the eating separate from the drinking if you can. Um, let's see. Okay, so a couple more things I wanted to share before we close out. Um, Again, I learned this when I was working with Leila Veronica, and then I call it swimming like a fish and soaring like a bird. So whatever your favorite fish is, or perhaps you prefer something like a salamander, but when a salamander or a fish is in motion, how is it that they move? So they have a lot of lateral motion, right? They're moving like this through the water. Salamanders, it's a lot of lateral motion. And us humans, we've kind of shut down a lot of that. And so if you're going nice and wide, to swim like a fish, if you put your hands just gently on the sides of your head and lift your ribs up and go over to one side and lift your ribs up and go over to the other side. And you can hold it for a while or you can just go back and forth like this. And it's like you're that salamander. Ring, 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 ring. And what you're doing is you're just lighting up the sides of your body and activating them. If you're sitting for a while, it's a great thing to do. You may, if you're doing it with me right now, like you probably may feel something right now. Like it is different to open up those side bodies. And notice I said lift up your ribs. So the more you can begin lifting up your ribs away from your hips, the more your body is going to be in its full frame and you're going to give your spine so much more room. A lot of people have disc issues and spine issues. Well, gravity doesn't help, by the way, but we've been like crunching ourselves down for so long. So it's like we get to lift ourselves up. And so now let's soar like a bird. So to soar like a bird, if you close your fingers in as if you can hold a little butterfly in there and have this thumb touch your index finger, nice and relaxed. And then push your arms straight out, about 45 degrees, and flap your wings from your scapulas, from your shoulder blades. So your arms aren't doing the work. If you ever watch a bird, it's like the back muscles are doing the work and the wings are sometimes even just fluttering. It's really interesting. I love birds. I watch birds out these windows here. I absolutely love birds. So flapping your wings, and you can get a little lateral motion in there if you want. But flapping your wings is so great. You're going to bring a whole bunch of beautiful blood flow and energy flow to this area of your body. So if you ever get the tight shoulders as you're typing away, it's a great thing to do. So be like a fish, and these elbows aren't out like this. They're more in like this, and then flap. So you should be able to see your elbows peripherally, more in front of you, like this. Oh, wow, 9:29. Amazing. I have a really good sense of timing. I think that's the musician in me, actually. Um, so to recap this series, my mission in giving this all to you is that you get something into motion. You start to take some action, whether that's just writing down, I got this errand hair here, whether that's just writing down your targets, writing down some of your triggers, and exploring some of the tools I've shared. Um, whether that's just once a day, putting down one action to do something towards some of those goals. Um, Really, it's just to get something in momentum. And I think I've given you enough here. If you need to go back this weekend, well, probably in the next couple of days, definitely before Sunday's over, I will have all the recordings and everything up on my website. So when you go to the 5-day challenge, you sign in and you'll have access to everything. Um, and all the worksheets, I think I can get the worksheets up on there too. So I'll be trying to put that all together so that you have access to to everything that we've done here. It's just been such a pleasure to share all this with you. On the Zoom portion of this the other night, one of my clients was like, "You've just given everybody so much," and I hope it's been helpful to you. I really do. But there's so much more. Like there's just an endless amount of material that I teach on, and I've had executives work with me um, as long as 18, 20 months. There's always some more things that I can teach them from all of my different experiences. And I just tune into people and then apply all of this curriculum that I've put together to help solve issues and help people really step into their full potentials. So a couple of things that I want to share a little bit about what I believe. So I truly believe people deserve a beautiful life, no matter what life throws at us. I truly believe that we are here to have fulfilling lives and that we have gifts and talents that are uniquely meant to be expressed and shared on this planet. I believe in unconditional love and support. I think too much love today and is really conditional. I see it all over the place and it's concerning to me. And so I try to provide a space that is judgment free. My clients have had all kinds of problems. I've had all kinds of problems. We all have had serious things happen to us. And um, so it's a judgment free space and with unconditional support. That's very important to me when I'm working with people. Um, and gosh, I think that's about it. So you can always go to my site, elleingalls.com. And I'm going to close this out and finish up with the people who are on Zoom. So it's great to share this with you. And I hope if I don't know you, that I get a chance to know you. So make yourself known by hopping on my calendar link, and let's have a conversation. And okay, so let's stop out. Have a great pressure-free life.